Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away. Cause every time.
Good morning, and it's 7:30. Well, it's actually turned to 7:31. Rouser Radio out of Lewes, East Sussex, broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel, historic hotel, bang in the centre of town.
Be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
20 to 21 today, a little cooler than yesterday, about 3 degrees cooler in fact, and a little bit of drizzle here and there. We can expect rain about 9 o'clock in Lewes, and the breeze is moderate, which means it'll still take your hat off.
Never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your
And the Queen lies in state in Scotland, ready to begin the journey south to London.
Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Well, there you are, as you fade away. We're fading away with NetX this morning. Good morning, Keith Hayes with Rouser Radio for the next 3/4 of an hour. The time now, 7:34. The day, the 13th of September, and the year 2022. A year we may well want to forget. However, for the moment, the Queen, the late Queen, lies in state in Edinburgh, in St Giles Cathedral, and is her son and her grandsons standing vigil, ready for her to move south to Westminster Hall, where she'll lie in state, and where the crowds are already gathering. And apparently the crowds in Edinburgh went up to a mile up to a mile long, and the outpourings of grief and admiration for the Queen continue and are widespread. Of course, there are always those people who want to have a go, and all the crap that they feed, and we'll just have a little rant about them in a little while. But first of all, let's go to much as it is a solemn day, it is time for you to get up because it is 7:36. If you're a bit elderly like me, you'll either get up early and go to bed early, or you'll get up late and go to bed late. But for those lions, down with your get up. And for those people who are getting up, pay no attention to this. Down with your get up. I'll tell you one thing. I left all my cards and everything. I put them in my pocket of my shirt, and whenever I go to bed at night, I take them out and I put them down. And this morning, I put the shirt on and did all the necessary things. In fact, I was way ahead of myself. And what did I do? I totally forgot all my cards until I was at the bus stop. Luckily, I'd got a couple of quid in my pocket, and I was able to catch the bus. But that's all. And I haven't figured out how I'm going to get home yet. Probably I'll have to stand on the curb with my son out, looking forlorn, and hope some beautiful lady in a sports car who's filthy rich and looking for a husband stops. He stops by and picks me up. Let's go and take a look at the front pages of the paper, shall we? We Yeah, we should. It should be there somewhere. Uh, no, we're all at sea again. Let's see. We'll we'll get them up and take a look. Uh, Hi. Okay. Let's see. So today is Tuesday, isn't it? Yes. Today's national newspapers, and here is the Daily Star. Now, the Star is my favourite paper because it normally, when everybody else is getting serious, it looks at things like little green men from Mars and all sorts of other things to keep you happy. But like everybody else, it is paying huge respect to our monarch, to Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away last week, and for whom preparations for her funeral are being made as we speak. and she is lying in state in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh for 2 days before coming south. And the Star says a nation mourns. 30-hour queue to pay respects. So if you're planning to go and pass the coffin, be prepared to. A 30-hour queue is a day and a half, or damn near. So be prepared for a long, long wait. The Times, the Queen's Guard, it says, which is a picture of Charles, is standing vigil beside the coffin in Edinburgh. The Sun leads with the King's Vigil and adds prayer for Her Majesty on its front page, which also features an image of King Charles standing in front of his mother's coffin. So that's the Sun, the King's Vigil. The Daily Mirror, we will watch over you, is the Daily Mirror's headline. The Mirror, which can sometimes be very disrespectful about a whole host of things, is joining everybody in paying homage to Queen Elizabeth. We will watch over you, says the headline, showing Charles standing vigil. The Queen's children in a solemn vigil as first members of the public pay their respects. I think they're talking about 250,000 people in Edinburgh. The Daily Telegraph. The Queen's love for Scotland is remarked upon in the story on the front of the Daily Telegraph. The Telegraph is rather a longer picture, a more distant picture, a longer shot, shall we say, of Charles standing vigil and also members of the public filing past to give a silent homage. And the church officials also who have to stand vigil. Not an easy thing to do, I may say. It says, this is the Daily Telegraph, Guard of Honour, and that's its front page. The powerful image of King Charles features on many front pages. Sometimes a single image illustrates a story perfectly. The powerful picture of King Charles at the vigil that adorns many of Tuesday's front pages was taken by the Press Association's Jane Barlow. So here we have the picture shown of, which I could show you, but describing with members of the armed forces standing around with Charles ahead of the coffin. And it's a powerful picture. The Guardian, alone among the papers released so far, the Guardian returns to the cost of living crisis, while events following the Queen's death dominate the headlines elsewhere. It reports that new Prime Minister Liz Truss is under pressure to reveal details about her energy plan. And so the Guardian, PM under pressure to reveal details of energy crisis plan. However, it does have the picture of the coffin being taken into St Giles Cathedral. And King Charles, Princess Anne, Camilla, and other worthies at the back. I see Andrew, so other members of the royal family, William, and I suppose Kate, who's partially obscured. They're all lined up to pay homage to the late Queen. The message hidden within Poet's Farewell to the Queen, and civil liberties groups alarm over anti-monarchy arrests. I'm not aware of the anti-monarchy arrests. I'll have to read up on that. Metro, the King's Vigil. 3 words with the same powerful image of King Charles that features on so many of the papers is the cover of the Metro. The King's Vigil, and that's a close-up of Charles, King Charles III. The Daily Mail considers the Queen's dual role as monarch and mother. It too chooses a picture of the new king at the vigil. And it's superimposed on the photograph is a silent vigil for a queen and a mother. The Daily Express, Lost in Grief, adorns the front page of the Daily Express, which, like the paper, has chosen a picture of King Charles in quiet reflection. And indeed, it has a slightly more distant picture of Charles in front of the coffin and the members of the armed forces, a variety of the armed forces surrounding the coffin, and lost in grief for darling Mama. The eye paper, a close-up of King Charles bowing his head as he stands in front of the Queen's coffin at Monday's vigil, is on the front page. The headline simply reads, "Vigil for a Mother." And indeed, the grief on Charles' face is very, very patent. Nobody can make that up. And those are the front pages for today. That you will find if you go to the newsagents and if you pick up any paper other than the Guardian, and one would not surprise the newspapers are still full of what's happening with the Queen, and likely to be so until Monday, which is now a bank holiday and the day of the funeral. Some people have suggested that it's an extreme bank holiday, that we are not able to find anything open, nothing at all. Good morning, it's Steve. God bless Steve. How are you, my boy?
Tired.
He's tired this morning.
Lack of sleep.
Oh dear, we're going to have to get him going.
Well, I think. I'm going to try and read it. Somebody pointed me onto it. Everything off at 8 o'clock. No TV, no phones, no anything. Just a good book and go to sleep. That's what I'm going to do tonight.
Is that right?
Yes, I've got a.
Now, what do you call a good book?
I like fiction.
Right.
I'm not good with it. I like. What am I reading? What would I be reading? There's quite a few books I've got. I might read again something. I'm not sure. I like Terry Pratchett, for instance.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's a children's book, but I do like.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one book that you better get and read before you come back in tomorrow.
Go on.
Is you know that Stuart Dolby, who comes in on a Wednesday, he's an author and he's written a book called The Friends of Rathlin Island. I know, and it's all about the times of terror in Northern Ireland, and it's a good read. It's a good read. You get it because he'll ask you one day, "Have you read my book?"
Tell him I'll read it if he signs it.
Right, okay. That's Steve, the front of desk man this morning, and a great guy, lovely guy at the White Hart Hotel, and full of humour. And he's brought my coffee, which is rather nice. I'm very pleased with that. Now, I haven't got in front of me the statistics, but I am going to tell you now that I am a great fan of constitutional monarchies. There are actually something like 60 odd monarchies in the world, believe it or not, where there is a king or a queen, and that's rather a high number. I hadn't expected that when I started my research, but the constitutional monarchies, there are 8 to 10, and those who are close to us that you would recognise as Norway, Sweden, and Sweden, and Denmark, and the Netherlands, and Spain. Now, actually, Luxembourg is also a constitutional monarchy. Would you believe the centre of the EU? But of those, Spain is the only one to have had political uproar, and actually, that political uproar saw the return of the monarchy, and since then it has had stable government, despite everything that's happening around. All those governments, constitutional monarchies, have had stable government, and they've suffered exactly the same things that we have and everybody else has. But a constitutional monarchy, first of all, creates and maintains a stable government, and that for which we must be very, very grateful. Now, that's my sip of coffee. That gets me started. The other thing about a constitutional monarchy is that it provides continuity of a leadership at the top, at the very top. It doesn't change like prime ministers, political parties. It is constant, and as such gives a sense of permanence, a sense of stability to the citizenry. And that's not taken into account when anti-monarchists get going. And actually, anti-monarchists are full of hot air anyway. Look how much it costs. Well, I also looked that up. Out of I think we come about 10th or 12th in terms of how much the state pays for the monarch. And above it is a whole host of people, of countries that pay far more for their presidency, right? Which is the one thing that, let's have a president, let's have an elected president, blah, 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 blah. Well, for those people who say it would save us money, BS. It won't. What basically France, for instance, pays is about a third more than we do for its presidency. So that argument is not gone ahead. How about let's put into place an elected president? Who our head of state is not elected? Who wants an elected head of state, for God's sake? We do not want politics in the head of state. One of the great things about having a monarch is they are apolitical. People say, well, the Queen doesn't get involved in politics. Well, she's very knowledgeable about politics, but she keeps her mouth shut. She has a weekly audience with the Prime Minister in which she can give him some feelings and advice. He doesn't have to take it. He can discuss things with her, but she is was a very sound voice, a very sound mind, a very experienced lady to offer that advice. Oh, do away with that, just for the sake of us all getting a corrupt person in on the basis of a vote. Oh, give me strength, give me strength. What a tired old argument that is. Anyway, the thing that really bothers me most about those people who don't want our present system is that A, as I just said, they don't offer anything in place. It's all anti stuff. It's why we shouldn't have, not why we should have or what we should have. It's all anti. They haven't got a thought between them. But the way that they promote their ideas is absolutely appalling. You wouldn't speak to anybody like that, but they think that it's their right. Oh, yes, it's their right. Well, it's not. And when you actually have a go at either the Queen or the system, the way that you do, it just shows how mean-spirited you are. Now, the last thing I want at the top of the pile is somebody who is mean-spirited. So you lot can forget me supporting you in any way at all. Well, basically because I really do approve of the system that we've got. And if I need any evidence, I can point to the Scandinavian countries and to a couple of the Mediterranean countries. For that matter, although it's a principality, not a monarchy, I don't hear anybody yelling about Monaco. Prince Radier comes to mind, and Grace Kelly, of course, but I don't hear anybody cribbing about them. Why? Because it's small. Right? Oh, yeah. The antis won't have a go at that because then it would seem as if they were kicking the little dog. I'm just fed up with them. Absolutely frustrated and fed up with them. They don't offer anything in return for the service and duty that we get from our monarchy. Now, I am going to say this. It is the system that I approve of. The incumbent for the last 70 years, I approve of. The incumbent that is just starting out on the journey is I withhold my judgment. Give him a little bit of time and let's see. But if there's a breakdown in the constitutional monarchy, but then it's a breakdown everywhere in every system, is if the incumbent is no good, it makes the system look bad. And we've had some bad kings, and we've had some bad presidents, and we've had some bad this, that, and the other. Emperors, and you name it. But that's got nothing to do with the system. That is simply because they would be bad whether they were elected or whether they were appointed or whether they walk into the job because of heredity. Make no mistake, constitutional monarchy is the best form of government. And each constitutional monarchy then has a structure which differs a little from the other. Our own fulfills the criteria set by Plato in his Republic. Now, I said yesterday, I'm guessing, that he I think it was about 400 BC. I should look it up, and I will in a minute, because we are following a philosophy of Greek philosophers who were considered, generally speaking, the greatest philosophers of all time. And Plato says the best form of government is to have a monarchy, an oligarchy, in other words, a rule of the few, and a democracy, all combined into one single system. What have we got? We've got a monarchy. We've got an oligarchy, the House of Lords, and we've got a democracy, the House of Commons, all forged into one. My God, we are the luckiest people on earth. Actually, I don't think it's luck. I think that we have had wise heads think it through. And although it's devolved, or evolved, then it has evolved with the guidance of wise men to make sure that we've got a magnificent system that is almost impossible to topple. It's almost impossible to topple, not least of which, within the structure, the monarch is the head of the armed forces. Okay, she passes on the responsibility in the main to the Minister of Defence, but so what? All she's doing is she's passing on to her second in command, is get on with administering it, because I'm very busy. And nonetheless, she and now he were head of the armed forces. And what a wonderful way to actually protect ourselves from the Parliament using the army, or for that matter, anybody else using the army to try and get a takeover of government, because you can't do it. The head of the armed forces is the king or the queen, and soldiers being soldiers, they swear allegiance to the commander-in-chief, and therefore any soldier worth his salt who follows his oath won't actually turn on the leader. So there you are. There you are. That's me sounding off this morning. And yes, I'm just turning to the television screen. Yes, I'm sounding off. Sounding off is something that I really believe in. Oh, let's go to the breeze, shall we? Telecast it. Well, the breeze is telecasted. The back pages of the paper this morning capture the spirit of the times when it comes to sport, and that is that our cricketers have been quite magnificent. A little bit up and down, but mostly up. And I was saying yesterday that because of bad light they were pulled off, and it was a draw. But I was wrong, and indeed we won the last test and the final test to win the series 2-1 against South Africa, and we won it in style. We won it indeed in style. I'm happy to say that the joyous occasion is caught on the back pages. Amongst once again, of course, is football has to be controversial, doesn't it? Football is getting on my wick. It's a beautiful game. It's a great game to watch, but it's been taken over by the business people and the people who take it so seriously that they've forgotten that it's a sport. So will the Liverpool fans sully the memory of the Queen when they're asked to be a minute's silence? For God's sake, if we got really down to that, I would just lock them all out of the ground, not let them in. But it just occurred to me is here the headlines are about pensioners and others, poor families struggling with heating bills and so on and so forth, may have to cut back, may not stay warm this winter, may not get food this winter, and yet we've got stadia with holding capacity of say 70 or 80,000 people at 30 or 40 quid a time basic, 80 to 100 if you're a really posh one. And they go week in, week out. And they go to the specials and they travel abroad. Where the hell do they get the money from? For that matter, where do they get the time from? I mean, if somebody actually did a look into that, football won't. It's too busy pocketing the cash. But I think that if the government expects us to tighten our belts, let's find out where some money is going and where people are getting that money from to pay those outrageous prices. I understand even down in Brighton it's about 40 quid to get in. When I was a boy, it was half a crown getting in on the terraces. It was something like threepence to get to Aston on a bus from Sutton Coldfield where I lived. So for half a crown, you could have a good day out. Half a crown was 2 shillings and sixpence. So a shilling is it's a 5p, isn't it? Is it or is it 10p? No, it's 5p. So what we're saying is for 12.5 pence, you would have a cracking day out. Try doing that now for any football ground. Why? Because we're paying these damn silly, outrageous prices of the wages to people, and it's got to be sustained. And television is slowly changing its spots, and that source of money is not going to dry up, but it's going to decrease. So people going into the grounds is going to gain in importance, and if you're charging 60 or 70 pounds for entry instead of 2 and sixpence, you're in trouble. Football is in trouble. It's an overblown bubble, much like Westminster. They live in their own world and they think it'll never end. Well, we've just seen the ending of a great dynasty. We can see the end of football the way it is. Oh dear, it's 6 minutes past 8 on the 13th of September, 2022. And this morning I'm just turning to the television screen. This morning we've had a lot to rant about, and there is plenty more. It would appear that the Russians have taken a bit of a tanking in Ukraine. Is it permanent? Difficult to say. Nobody expected the Ukrainian resistance. Putin of all people, thought that they would roll over. I think the West thought they would roll over. And then they could tut, tut, tut and discuss the role of NATO. Well, they didn't roll over. In fact, they're fighting back with some spirit. They've retaken some towns. They've put up the flag again. How long will Putin take this? Because, believe it, ego is a huge part of this man's psyche. He does not like to be bested. He does not like to lose. So you can imagine what's going on inside the Kremlin with the yelling and the shouting and the stamping of feet. But publicly, he doesn't like it, and what he will demand is that the Russian army retake these posts, positions, possessions that they had, get them back. Show the world that the mighty Russians are still mighty. The only thing is that let's hope that he doesn't slip into his ego trip to the extent that he utilizes nuclear weapons, which will get out of hand. That is the big danger. It is a big, big danger. Right, it is 8 minutes past 8. My goodness me, we've been going this morning, haven't we? So let's. Here we go. This other one that I quite like is In 5 Straight Rows, the Mini Vandals. Here they come. Okay, In 5 Straight Rows from the Mini Vandals. I do like those Mini Vandals. I must say that some of their stuff is quite rollicking, and they are very popular on the less popular, or less well known, I shouldn't say they were popular, less well known radio outlets such as this one. Not too many people know about us, but those that do think. Okay, it's now 12 minutes or 11 minutes, just coming up to 12 minutes past 8. time for us to think about going. Just to recap what we've talked about this morning, is the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, lies in state in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, in Scotland. What I didn't know was on display above her coffin is the Crown of Scotland, which apparently is the oldest crown of the lot. Her son, now King Charles III, stands vigil. So do a number of the other royals. Members of the armed forces stand guard around the coffin draped with the royal standard. And now, as 250,000 plus people file past to pay their respects, the coffin is being prepared for its trip south, and arriving at Westminster Hall, where Her Majesty, late Majesty, will lie in state for up until the funeral, which is on the let's see, it's 12, 30, 40, 50, on the 15th, 16th, 17th of September 2012, and it is forecast that more than 1 million people will have filed past the coffin by the time that the funeral rolls around. Just a warning to people who may think of packing their sandwiches and going up to London to pay homage themselves, is it looks as if they're up to a 30-hour wait. If you get at the end of the queue right now, you can expect to wait 30 hours. And that's a long time, so take lots of sandwiches if you're going to do that. That's where we stand with the royal funeral. One or two other things is the Guardian newspaper is now saying that everybody is waiting for Liz Truss to get cracking. But with the death of the head of state and the takeover of a new head of state, one can understand that as Prime Minister, she has a bit on her plate with not only protocol, but with our constitution, because we are a constitutional monarchy. When we change monarchs, it affects the way that we're governed. I'm not a great Liz Truss fan, but I do understand that she's taken her foot off the accelerator, has to. Never mind what the Guardian and the Guardianistas have to say. Oh well, there we go. That's today, Tuesday, the 13th of September in the year 2022. And let's say, to the pip. We'll be back in 15 minutes with Mirador Television, and we invite you to join us then. Till then, to the pip. And here we go with As You Fade Away.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to grey.
This has been Rouser Radio, broadcasting from Lewis. I'm Keith Hayes. We are in the White Hart Hotel, bang in the centre of the town, which is the county town for East Sussex in the UK. Wherever you are, a very good morning to you.
All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way.